Hello, everybody. Robert Rose here with the weekly news, bringing you the news that you need to lead in content marketing. And for more news and best practices, you can always go to contentmarketinginstitute.com. This week's news, all for the week ending February 25th, 2022. One item in the news this week is a new launch from our friends at LinkedIn. And if everybody and their dog didn't have a podcast yet, this might be the one thing that sends you and maybe your dog even off to get their own podcast. LinkedIn, the professional media social network, has gotten into the action of podcasting and launched its own podcast network. Yes, you guessed it. Its name? Well, they spent zero time on naming here. It's called the LinkedIn Podcast Network. At launch, it appears to be a series of about a dozen podcasts covering everything from news podcasts from people like Leah Smart, Jesse Hempel, and Daniel Roth, to more specific work-focused podcasts from people like Rachel Botsman, Jonathan Fields, and there's even a podcast hosted by LinkedIn founder Reid Hoffman on the topic of startups. Now, right now, the podcasts on the LinkedIn landing page all go off to Apple for you to follow the shows or actually listening to them. But there are reports that the shows will also be available by following the podcast host on LinkedIn or subscribing to their LinkedIn newsletter. But as of the recording of this, I can't really figure out a way that functionality works at the moment, so I would bet that this is a future feature. This would also appear to be an early launch of this, and it resembles some of the other brand-driven podcast networks we've seen emerge over the last year, from companies like HubSpot, Harvard Business Review, even influencer marketing expert Jason Fall's new marketing podcast network. My take here, none of these brand-driven endeavors are really looking to compete with distribution networks like Apple or Spotify, or even the more traditional media networks like iHeartMedia, NPR, or the New York Times. Rather, this is a way for a brand like LinkedIn to aggregate a number of content creators and create an exclusive way to sponsor all the shows and leverage the reach across a bigger audience. Put really simply, we often talk about the build or buy scenario at CMI. You know, in content marketing where you can acquire a small content brand like a blog or a magazine in order to create a program that can reach audiences. This is a middle road, where a brand might simply create a curated list of great podcasts and become the exclusive, or in some cases not so exclusive, sponsor of them in order to create the same effect. It could be a great entree into understanding which ones perform, a farm team, if you will, that might lead to the acquisition into the big leagues, or simply a nice way to hedge your bets on content creators that you're not quite sure you want to go all in on yet. And that's the takeaway for all of us here. Look for more of these deals to start to happen and emerge across both B2B and the B2C landscape. They make a tremendous amount of sense. They make sense for the podcasters to get exclusive and guaranteed hosting, and they make sense for the brands to reach an exclusive audience. And time will tell if LinkedIn can actually integrate this idea into their own social network in a way that makes the functionality of following these podcasts even easier and more differentiated. That would be a true social media network. And that's it. That's 3 minutes of news that you need to lead in content marketing. I'd love for you all to visit our content tech site. We're going to have a special workshop on podcasting and creating video, giving you all the understanding of what you need from equipment to software to the process of actually creating those things. So check that out at contenttechsummit.com and register today. For Content Marketing Institute, I'm Robert Rose, and remember, it's your story to tell. Tell it well. We'll see you on the news next week.